Well, good morning, class. It's such a beautiful day out. I thought I'd go outside. It's Saturday morning, and I thought I'd recap your forums from out here. It's just too nice to be inside, and I've got palm tree stuff falling on me, but that's kind of neat. Anyway, good morning, and I wanted to recap your scheduling forum because there's so much in it that I think you need to know, and it's very important for you to protect yourself and also for your district. You know, when CIF did away with the association rule, which limited the amount of time coaches can spend with their athletes in the off season, when they did away with that several years ago, it created a nightmare for athletic directors and districts as well. Some districts have addressed it, some haven't. Some it's just whatever you want to do, you do it. Well, that is a nightmare. It's just a lawsuit waiting to happen. It's like playing Russian roulette because several things here come into play. First of all, clearing athletes. You have to make sure those athletes are cleared. If they're wearing your school uniform, you're responsible for them. The district is. And, you know, when they sue somebody, they're going to name everybody, coach, AD, district. Of course, they're going to go with the deep pocket, but it's just going to be a mess. So clearing athletes, clearing coaches. Now that's the responsibility of usually the athletic director, and it'll fall back on the assistant principal in charge of athletics as well. Those coaches got to be cleared, and if we're talking year-round, that means year-round, all the time. Transportation, how are they getting there? You know, most districts, they don't know. They just get there. Kids drive on their own. That's Russian roulette. There's got to be a policy in place, whether it be transportation forms. They all have to be approved. So now we're talking clearing athletes, clearing coaches, transportation forms. What about equipment? You know, it's against the CIF rules to use school equipment in out-of-season athletics. It's not recognized by CIF. So they can rent the equipment for $1, but again, you have to take care of that. So when that rule was abolished, it really did create several nightmares, and those are just some of them. You know, Kevin and Craig both mentioned this in your forum, and that's why I really wanted to address it because it's so important. You know, if we really are as coaches, and saying that it's important for athletes to play several sports, not specialize. If we really believe that, then we're really putting pressure on kids to play year-round and to choose early. So, we have to be careful with that. And again, I know in our district we created a policy, and that if several policies, but one addressed this specialization. If kids were playing a sport, they cannot participate in their off-season sport on a weekend. That we just wouldn't allow it. And we really emphasize to coaches, do not pressure these kids into playing year-round, whether it be overtly or subtly. And we can do that as coaches, that. We can say, hey, if you don't play year-round, another guy may take your spot. I can't guarantee anything. Well, that's putting pressure on kids, and we can't do that. And we, in all our meetings, we all talk about sharing athletes. We all agree on it. But when the rubber meets the road, when all these seasons overlap now, how are we going to handle it as coaches? And so we really need to be honest, and that comes down to our beliefs, our values, our morals. We have to be fair with the kids. So we got to ask ourselves: is it fair for coaches to want kids to specialize? I mean, if we're really doing, if we really believe that, we ought all be fired because really, what are we trying to do? 1 in 150 high school athletes get a Division I scholarship. 1 in 12,000 sign a professional contract. If that's our goal, we should all be fired as coaches. So what are we really doing? I think it's more about the ego and about winning than anything else. And I get that. I love winning, but we have to be fair with these kids and think about them. Don't think about you and your winning record and that in the off season. Hey, that should be whatever they want to play. Really, honestly, but we have to, adhere to that. And Joycelyn, you mentioned in your video evaluation of your school something that you had a question on. Is it out of compliance? For example, you talked about the boys, I think, water polo team raising more money for tournaments so they could go to tournaments than the girls. So you had to pay for your own tournaments. Well, that is a compliance issue. Scheduling is a Title IX issue. It's got to be fair. And if you can't, your parents can't afford it, or they don't raise the money, guess what? Your school's responsible to send you to those tournaments. Either that, or, I hate to say it, the boys can't go. It's got to be balanced. I would highly suggest that you go to your athletic director and ask for the funds. And this is a Title IX issue. Scheduling, practices, games, tournaments, all of that it's important. You also mentioned sharing the pool. There's a classic example of overlapping practice schedules. That was one of the nightmares. And again, your district has to get together. Maybe you can do this with getting your coaches together with your athletic director. Always keep them in the loop, and creating some policies about use of facilities for out-of-season athletes as opposed to in-season sports. In-season sports should get priority no matter what, period. And then out-of-season, anything else. And it needs to be worked out fairly with the coaches. And we were fortunate to do this as a district. We have 4 high schools. We got together and we worked it out. We created a policy with the district office, and it worked very well. So, these are some of the topics with scheduling that just jumped out at me, and I thought, wow, you guys are really getting into it. And, if in your interviews, these are great questions to ask. How are you handling the facilities for off-season programs? That is key. How are you handling transportation for, off-season sports? They're going year-round. It's no longer you have 5 in the fall, winter, and spring. Now you've got them. You've got all of them in the fall. You've got all of them in the winter, and all of them in the spring. And as an athletic director, now you've got to take into account all of that: clearing athletes, coaches, transportation, use of facilities, equipment, all of that. So ask them those questions. I'd be interested to hear how different districts are doing it. I know there are several out of compliance. So anyway, food for thought. Anyway, just to recap, and I don't want to go too long because I know how these videos can get. I'm going to cut it short here. Just on your APA, again, try to follow it as much as possible. Now, you don't have to do that in your forums, but in your papers, And the handbook, I'm not going to grade down for APA. It's different. It's a different animal. But in any of the papers, put a title page and things like that. And also just keep, posting on time. You're doing a great job. I really appreciate it. If you have any questions, email me, and I'll try to get back to you with the answers as soon as possible. And again, I thank you for listening to me, and go out and have a great day. It's a beautiful day to be outside. Thank you, and God bless you.